First up, we have Paula Vignali from our Bedminster office. Paula has been in real estate for about 20 years. Paula built her business and maintained top sales associate status for many, many years. And then after dealing with some real-life issues and challenges like we all do, and a major market change, as we all did, Paula's production dipped to a level that she was not comfortable with. So after a little while of that, Paula made a decision to get back on the very top of her game. And since then, 2009, she's been steadily increasing her production year after year. And by the end of June this year, she had already done what she did all year last year, and that was a formidable amount last year. So I'd like to introduce Paula Vignali.
Thank you, John. Well, my topic is Real Estate 101 in 2012, and taking the basics of real estate and implementing new strategies. But it is a lot more than just strategies. 30 years ago, you would receive a package of flower seeds in the mail from your local realtor. But they were the wrong kind of seeds we needed to be planting. In our business, we plant seeds to build relationships. And that means that connecting with the client on a personal level. I always try to be very transparent as possible and genuine so that they can see that I still have their best interests at heart. I'm going to tell a couple of stories, so if you have any questions about it, just let me know, but that really does help me. Back in 1999, I was working during Christmas week, and no one else was in the office. It was actually snow-covered and snowing. And this young couple came into the office, and they had asked about the area. They said, our company is making a move, and we were thinking about coming, but we wanted to see what's here. Well, I spent about an hour and a half with them just talking about what goes on in our market and what it's about. They finally left, and then I kept in touch with the young woman. I'd say about every month I would call her. We built up quite a relationship. And then about a year later, without even knowing anything, my manager called me into the office and said, Paul, I don't know what you did. He said, but we just accepted the relo for Pharmacia because that couple were the people transferring the whole team. So you never know who you're talking to and the seeds that you're planting. I received about 15 relos myself, and the company, tremendous amount of increase. So one of the things you need to understand is you have to make sure that the people are always potential. But it's not just a buyer or seller, there are intimate relations. And because of that, I got a call from her husband about a month ago, and they asked me to come and just look at listing their house. Now, I keep in touch regularly. I talk to them. And she came to the door, answered the door. I went in, hi, how are you? She was on the phone. I met with the husband. He brought me around the house to show me the things that were going on. And there were yellow stickies over everything. There were yellow stickies on the cabinets, on the drawers, on the doors, everywhere. I said to the husband, what's with the yellow stickies? And he said, well, I'm sorry to say Peggy is in early stages of Alzheimer's. But the one thing she remembered was she wanted you as a realtor. And I thought that was tremendous. For me, it was very heartwarming to know that the relationships weren't just casual, but that she really, I had made an impact on her. So we never realize the things that we are doing on the everyday basis, but we take some of those old techniques and we utilize new methods. But the old techniques I still use are mailings. I do about 2,000 pieces a month, and I do them with a new twist. I don't send out just sold cards. What I do is I now send out, welcome your new neighbors. And usually I'll give the client will give me permission, to talk about them and ask them to come and meet them. I'll explain that a little more later. But I keep up communications. I do holiday gifts, I do text, emails, phones, and best of all, I really think has been my American Lifestyle magazine that I send to all my clients. I'm not sure if everybody knows what that's about. I guess I should use my little clicker. And I have another story about American Lifestyle. Yesterday was my birthday, and I received a call from a client that I hadn't seen physically in over 7 years. But when I saw them last, they had a little girl who was 4, and her and I were just chatting as the parents were looking around the house. I never saw her after that. But yesterday, he calls me and he said, Paula, is today your birthday? And I said, yeah, how did you know? He said, well, Molly told me. I said, Molly told you? That's the 7-year-old. The 4-year-old's now 11. And she said, she loves your magazine, that she runs to the mailbox every month that it comes, and she goes, Paula's here, Paula's here. So she remembered that her birthday was a week away from mine. So even things like that are beneficial to our business. When I do mailings, I also do projects. So this is a picture that I did last year. I bought 500 small pumpkins. Now these are new techniques. This is for new business, not for your old clients. But I bought 500 pumpkins. I had the tags made with the info that looks like a leaf, and I placed them on a townhouse development doorsteps. And the cost was about $300, but it produced me over 2 listings that were 500 apiece, 500,000. So I try to find new things, but implement the old that we know already work. I also add things to keep current. Like right now when I do my listing and presentations, I always use my iPad. You know, we used to use our old traditional printouts, but I take my iPad, I do it all in front of them. Also, I started to do publications, and I needed recognition, as John said. So I talked about being a new realtor, getting myself exposed again, and so I started to do a website. When we did a website, we realized that nobody was really finding the website. So we started to do ads for the newspaper and the print. And these are a couple of those. It was just something to drive people to the website. Otherwise, they won't find you. I mean, you can have a website, nobody even knows you're there. So it was to really let them know that I'm still here and still functioning. And then I decided to do another project, which was my billboard. And it's a strategic positioning that I use for the billboard. And at the time, my clients had thought that I had really left the area because my business had gone down. So what I did was I bought the billboard in the Bridgewater Commons Mall, which is my area, and designed the ad, said what could be better than shopping, dining, or seeing a movie in Bridgewater? Living here. So we placed it right at the entrance of where the parking deck was, where people came in and went to the movie, and it really brought a tremendous amount of exposure. So a lot of the new techniques are things that we might not think about as being normal, but take a little bit of ingenuity. So because no one could find me on the ads, we did the print ads, we did the billboards for the newspaper, but you know, I was listening to Matt Farrar, and he said that email was going down on the decline except for baby boomers. So this is why I did the newspaper things and the billboards, because like my husband, he still can't find anything on the net, so he needs to have something in print. So finally I realized there was a need for more information about town videos on the YouTube on a personal level. So I decided to go online and do YouTube videos. So, like I said, we bought a domain, Google Words, to bring us up first. I had my assistant shoot the video so you could tell. And now there are 4 or 5 of those videos of me touring different towns and sharing points of interest. So basically the story is that we need to use the old and the new, come up with some new ideas, and don't give up. Just keep forging forward with whatever it is that you know to do best. Now I'm back. Thanks.
Next up, we have from our Maplewood office, Amy Paternite. Amy, oh boy. She doesn't need much of an introduction, but Amy's a real go-getter. She started in real estate in 2006, and she's currently the #2 associate in the Maplewood office, among some pretty stiff competition there. Since starting in real estate, Amy has steadily grown her business through her special focus on relationship building. So let's welcome Amy again.
Thank you. Oops. So I guess I'm going this way. Hi, everybody. So just to give you a little quick background about me, I figured I'd give you my Twitter bio, say it in 140 characters or less. I am a New Jersey realtor, mom, local activist, wife, pianist, not necessarily in that order. Today I'm going to talk about building relationships to success. That's better. The 3 points I'm going to talk about are covering your bases, distinguishing yourself, and building credibility with recommendations. So my background is actually in public relations. I had my own business in the music business for many years. And PR campaigns are a lot like housing campaigns. When I would have a new CD release come out, this is pre-iTunes, when we actually had physical CDs that we would mail journalists, and I'd write pitch letters and we'd send them out, and then on the release day, you'd hope that you'd be reviewed in the New York Times, Entertainment Weekly, New York Magazine, you'd be on NPR, you'd be on the Today Show, you'd be on Letterman that night, and the next night you'd have a sold-out show in Madison Square Garden. So it's kind of the same concept with real estate. And Peter Sobek used to talk about spinning plates when you go to a circus and you see the clown and it has all the, keeps on adding a plate, adding a plate, adding a plate. And you really, different demographics find you different ways, as Paula was saying. So I like to be everywhere and anywhere because you just never know what works. Just like in the PR campaign, you never know how people got that ticket to Madison Square Garden. Did they hear your interview on NPR? Did they see a billboard on the subway? Did they see somebody talking about it? Did they see a teaser for your show up at Letterman? They picked up the New York Times that morning. You don't know how people find you, so you kind of have to cover all your bases. So not only do I like to advertise and send out postcards, I'm on the internet, I make, I make phone calls. I'm not so great about phone calls. I don't love that part, but I'm really good email and texting. If I have an open house, I'll do door-to-door. I'll put notes under people's doors. And just like, you just need to be involved in the community. And that way, when it comes down to it, you can ask people, how did you find me? And then you get to start realizing what works for you and what doesn't. When you're at an open house, if somebody comes in and you say, how did you find this open house? If they say, well, we saw the balloons at the corner, all right, you know kind of where they're at. If they say, yeah, we saw it advertised in the Times, and then we saw it on Trulia, and our friends live in this town, and then you know it's somebody that you maybe want to pay a little more attention to. A recent example of something that all came together for me is a listing that I recently got. When I asked the people, they call me in, how'd you find me? They said, well, you actually sold the house across the street from us 3 years ago, and the seller recommended you. And she told me she was going to recommend me. She said, oh, the people are moving across the street. And I was like, yeah, okay, thanks. And, you take it with a grain of salt. And then the people who moved into that house happened to move from around the corner. So I sold their house, and then I sold them this house. And then she said, we've been getting your postcards for the last 6 years, and they're really nice. And I couldn't believe that actually somebody paid attention to it, because I spend money on those Merrill postcards, and you don't know if anybody is just throwing them away or looking at them. But it actually, she paid attention to it. And I got the listing and sold their house, and they had a 1,000-gallon oil tank hidden from the 40s. That luckily just passed everything, no contamination. So anyway, so you want to make your property stand out, but you also want to make yourself stand out. And distinguishing yourself these days, you need to have a good website. You need to have, I think you need to have, oops. I think I stopped working this. Hi, okay, I'm off the grid. I have a website that has IDX integrated into it so people can search. There's community info on my website. I have a blog that I update myself. And it's everything from real estate to a friend just opened up a restaurant in town and got reviewed in the New York Times, and I put it on the website. And you never know how people are going to find you. They could be searching online for a restaurant in Maplewood, and then they see my post about it. So you never know how people are going to find you that way. I also like to use, that's my website. And I also like to use Constant Contact. Let me go back to Constant Contact is something that's $15 a month. You can upgrade if you want. They have real estate templates. There's an iPhone app for it. And the subject line actually matters. My ones that have catchy subject lines actually get the most opens. I recently had something called Maplewood Oasis, Soho Chic in Maplewood, and they get about high return rates. I understand from Constant Contact that they say a 12% open rate is considered a success. And from the screenshot you see, I had a 49% open rate of my last one that I sent out. 45% click rate, which I put a copy of the listing in there, so 45% of the people that opened it actually clicked through to the listing. And I had 10 bounces and 4 opt-outs. So I was able to see, do I have people's up-to-date information? Maybe they bought a house already, maybe they moved on. And it's an opportunity to reach out to those people. Hey, I sent you something and it came back to me. You know, what's going on? So another thing that I like to do to distinguish myself is closing gifts and holiday gifts. If I know the client well, I'll buy them something specific to them. But for holiday gifts, in 2010, I had like my first greatest year ever in real estate, and I went out and decided to buy presents for every single person I ever sold a house to. So on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I got my kids in the car, and we went out, we bought Trader Joe's, I got like little, you know, snacky kinds of things and put it in a nice Coldwell Banker bag. And I went out on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day because what else am I gonna do besides go out for Chinese food and wait for the movies? And we delivered to every single doorstep. Some people answered, some people didn't. I left it, I got some feedback, some not. So this past year, 2011, had a great year, decided again, I'm gonna buy a present for every single person I ever sold a house to. Now, we're in a small area, so it wasn't that big to cover. I bought chocolate bars and bottles of Hershey bars from Hershey Park, like giant-sized Hershey Park bars, because we happened to be there recently. And bottle of nice red wine with a cute, catchy label on it. Got nice silver bags, and once again, went out Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, delivered packages to every single person. But I sent my kids up, so that way I wouldn't get involved in the conversations, and I didn't want to get invited in, and I didn't want it to be a whole day thing, so it worked out well. And one of the clients I actually delivered to said, she said, tell your mom that we think we're moving to Texas. So she should, tell her we're gonna give her a call. And sure enough, the next week, I got a call and they ended up relocating to Texas. So it was just a nice way to get in touch with people. And, a relatively inexpensive way, much like the pumpkins, that it comes back to you. And lastly, building credibility with recommendations. I like to use LinkedIn because people want to feel that when you're being recommended, someone actually took the time to recommend you. I have probably about 24 recommendations or so on my website, and it's akin to Yelp. When you're in a new town, you don't know where to go out to dinner or something, you look up, if there's 30 great reviews, you might go to that restaurant. Or recently, I almost bought an airline ticket on Spirit Airlines. There was 10,000 people telling me, don't do it. It said, not for the faint of heart traveler. So I was like, all right, I heeded the warning. So what I like about recommendations is it's something that just gives you another piece of credibility. And LinkedIn, since it's a third-party website, gives you that little extra sense of credibility. I like to do paper, I still do paper CMAs because I like to leave listing presentations with the people to mull over. So when I present I like to use the toolkit, and when I hand it to them, so I say, here's a letter saying, thanks for having me, flip the page, here's a letter from Hal saying, thanks for having me, flip the page, and then here's 5 pages of recommendations of people who love me and swear up and down and will recommend me to the end of time. And then you continue on to your listing presentation. So I find that effective. And let's see, so here's some of my recommendations. And my last final, I know I said I had 3 things, my last final and 4th bonus point to you all is I really feel that the key to real estate is managing relationships and expectations. I've learned a lot from the agents in my office, and one of the agents once said to me, age is not a defect. And I think that works with, in life, and it also works in home inspections. The other great thing is there's no such thing as good surprises in real estate, and it's true. If you manage expectations and you prepare people for what's coming ahead, they feel so much better about it. Nobody wants to be caught off guard. When we found that hidden 1,000-gallon tank, those people had oil, they had above ground oil since 1978. They had no idea that they had this tank. And they said, Amy, what's the worst case scenario? And I said, I talked them through a few things. I said, I don't want to give you worst case because we're not there yet, but let's just keep going on steps and steps. And because they felt every step of the way, I gave them, here's what we're going to do. Don't worry, I got the tank guy coming over. We got the town involved. We got the geologist. Everything's moving along. It's going to be fine. I said, I've had many happy endings with tank pulls. I said, they work out one way or another. You get some money in escrow, we'll close. Don't worry about it. And every day, it's just reassuring them. And because there's nothing, more gut-wrenching when, you get 5 offers on your house sells for way over asking, you think you're made in the shade, and then you find a tank. So the moral of my story is managing relationships and expectations, and I think if you can do those things, you'll be very successful in real estate.
So last up, and certainly not least, we have Ronnie Aiosa from our Kinnelon office. Ronnie started his real estate career in 2006, and before joining Coldwell Banker this past July, he'd been a top associate at Weichert and Pompton Plains throughout 2009, 2010, 2011. Ronnie, as you'll see, is very focused. He's got incredible energy, and he's going to share some ideas on my favorite topic, or one of them, expired listings. Ronnie.
I can't stand behind that thing. ADD, I don't know what I have, but I got something. Jittering back there. Is anybody here, if you need to lower me or anything, tell me, because I know my voice is ridiculously loud for such a small person. Was anybody here in the first session with the other panelists? Anyone? There's a couple of you. So quick story, those of you who didn't get to the first one, it was so cute. My business partner, Bill Boswell, and this other gentleman, Danny, was telling everybody how they were just recently engaged, and their fiancés were here with them, which I thought was absolutely adorable. I'm married 15 years, and I went out the door like this because my wife's like, get out of here already, you know what I mean? I got to get the kids off to school, you're in the way. So, big difference. And I think that's why this partnership that I have with Bill Boswell is so amazing, because we're in completely different spectrums, but yet when we come together in business, we're on the same page. Another quick one for you, and then I'm going to dive right into expireds. Now, this one might be a little bit opposite. Most people like sports. So I'm going to ask you right now, if you don't like sports, do me a favor and stand up. If you don't like sports. Don't be shy. It's okay if you don't. No problem, right? So watch. This is great. I love this. I love this because there's not many of you who don't like sports. Okay, stay standing. Stay standing. Oh, yes, that you didn't like sports. Do me a favor. If you know what Nike is, sit down. Every one of you. Every one of you. What's the tag phrase for Nike? You don't even know sports maybe, and you know that's what it is. Just do it. So as I now deliver what I like to do in expires, I'm going to tell you that the moral of it is, just do it. I could sit up here and talk about a system that I have that I put in place all day long. If you leave here and say, oh man, that was great, and you do nothing about it, what a waste of our time. You must take this and you must implement it. Okay, I built this system. I implement it. I spend a lot of time doing it. Time maybe I really don't tell them to implement it too, whoever's calling. So I'm telling you, you have to do it. It takes time. It takes effort. This is a tough business, but we have to do it. So I don't know where that clicker is, but that'll get me to the next one. Very too much on here, huh? Wrong way? Wrong way? Left way. Hey, the left one. We're getting there. Hey, okay, here it is. Okay, so I don't have a huge PowerPoint. I don't need one. It's all up in this foggy head of mine. So, expired listings. They're on the market already, and I'm not going to just go knock on your door and say, hey, I see your house is listed. Maybe when you expire, give me a call, right? No, absolutely not. So I'm going to farm. I'm going to mail out. I'm going to spend time, money, energy, effort into all of it. Inside of my farm area, which is not small, the odds are you're listed. You're going to be on there. I have my disclaimer on the bottom, obviously, because I don't know if you are or not. But the bottom line is I'm going to designate my farm area, and most likely someone's going to be in there. Now, I keep track of these properties. I have a little spreadsheet going on. I know when a property is about to expire. I hope you've gotten my card, but I'll tell you this. I'm going to visit you. You are going to know who I am. Yes, we mail a ton. Thousands of mailings go out per month that Bill and I do. You're going to know who I am because I'm going to visit your property. I'm going to know my market. When somebody's talking to me about anything in real estate, I need to be able to say, oh yeah, great house. Backyard's a little bit rough, right? Oh yeah, you know that house. Yes, you know that house. This is my market. I'm the professional, okay? And Bill spoke earlier about this added value, this resource that we are as realtors. I don't want someone thinking I'm that guy who may have sold a house. I want to be that guy that when people see me, they say, or when they think of real estate, they think of me. It goes together. These mailings are extremely important, okay, because they're going to touch on everything. I'm going to tell you another story about back to school night last night. Okay, so what goes out in my mailings? Amy was talking about the cards. I hope they open them up, right? Percentage of cards that get tossed in the garbage? 95% in the garbage. What are you going to do? You still got to do it, right? Odds are, how many people call your sign to look at it? What are you going to do, not put a sign up? Of course you are. So you're going to mail out as well. What am I going to mail out? What types of piece of information? Maybe Bill and I just listed a house, so I'm going to put that one up. Maybe Bill and I just put something under contract in a real quick period of time. Definitely sending that one out. Maybe something that we just sold, send that one out. Maybe something on the broad spectrum. What's going on in your neighborhood? Doesn't necessarily mean that we had to sell it, but this is what's going on in your area. We'll send that one out as well. Preview the homes. I mentioned that to you guys. Why is that so important? Because if you happen to get my mailing, and now I happen to preview your home and leave my card, maybe you're even home. I'm not looking to engage with you. I'm just looking for recognition, that you know who I am. Why? Because now you expired. And I'll tell you right now, if a house expired and you want it, please do not think you're going to have a nice casual breakfast, you're going to go through your day, you're going to stop off for a quick lunch because you're the 7th one in line. You got to be the first one knocking on the door. It's 9 o'clock knocking on the door. Maybe they're home, maybe they're not, but you're the first one there. No one's home, we have a packet that we prepare. Shows all the properties that we currently have marketing, what we've got under contract, what we've got sold. Just, again, telling them I'm not just a fly-by-night. I didn't just happen to get into this yesterday. I have 3 kids at home. This is my life. This is how I provide a living. They need to know you're not a part-timer, okay? So here comes this thing. You're not home. I dropped that packet. It's on your door. I'm getting a call. I'm getting a call because I left that. And if not, well, regardless, I'm writing a handwritten letter, and I'm sending it to them. Next day, I'm knocking on the door. Maybe even that night, depends on what's going on with my day. I need to be very, very intentional about it. Bottom line, I want that listing. I'm very competitive, very, very competitive. I want to be number 1. You should want the same thing. I want it. They need to know that I want it. Bill and I just got a listing that was expired. This house was listed by 1 agent, didn't sell. Listed by another 2 agents, didn't sell. Now listen to this. I was a manager at Weichert. I left to come here and partner up with Bill. I know who had this listing, and I'm very friendly with them. We're friendly with a lot of the people in other companies that we work with, right? Now, I got to work with you all the time. I will never put my character or my integrity on the back seat. It is always in the forefront. And I am very friendly with the person who had this listing. And I picked up the phone, and I say, Bill, are you getting that? Are you going after it? Are they coming back to you? No. Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to go get it. This is business. But right up front, I let him know, I am not about to steal something out from underneath you. You must have integrity. And I'll tell you right now, the respect that he and I have with one another, and his partner Laura, who was on it, tremendous. So we listed that. When did we list that? Friday? Something like that. We had an open house Sunday. We're getting an offer tonight. Guess what I listed the house for? Same price it expired for. And I'm going to tell you the difference here, too. You got to listen. There was a slide on the first panel, that ear was like this big, right, about listening so much intensely. When I went in there, what I heard from these people is that they felt like the last set of agents only gave them negative stuff on their home. So remember, it expired. Something's wrong. I got to save the day. And I heard that. And I said to Bill, I said, this was so awesome for me. You know, we're in all kinds of homes. We're not in an area that's only luxury, although we do have a luxury department inside of our business plan. So we sell all different kinds of homes. But it's difficult when you're in a house for $900,000, $1 million, $2 million, and then you walk into a house that's $300,000. And it's like, oh, it's, you know, okay, it's a house, right? No big deal. But not to them. And more importantly, not to somebody else. Somebody else, that was the Taj Mahal. And so when we packaged that up to put online, that's exactly how we packaged it up. This is the Taj Mahal, and somebody is going to love it. So listen to your people on the expireds. It's very, very important when you go in. When you're going after expireds, the reason that I love that as part of my business plan is because to me, it's easy. And maybe it's easier, I'll be fair. Now, Odds of this. I knock on the door. Oh, hi, would you like to sell your house? You know, door gets slammed in my face. Next, would you like to sell your house? I mean, come on, right? I mean, the cold call, it's the worst. And that's like me taking a gun, heading out into the sky, shooting it, and saying, I hope that hits a bird, okay? That's exactly what it's like. Expired is like a little tiny barrel like this, loaded with fish, and I have like a bazooka, and I'm like, I'm going to hit 20 of them. It's shooting fish in a barrel. I'm going to get them. I'm not asking you if you want to sell. You told me you want to sell. I just want to know what went wrong the first time and how it is that I'm going to fix it. Expired's an incredible, incredible way to get business. Again, do it with integrity. Be intentional. Be constant. Don't stop. This plan that we're doing, every single Friday, our mailers are out. On time, every Friday. So that means sometime during the week, this flyer's got to be ready, this has to be ready, done. I'm looking at the house, it's going to expire 3-4 weeks from expiration. I got to make sure I show my face. It's a lot of work. It will always come back to you. And what else is coming now is because of all those mailers, I may have not been in your house that's about ready to expire. I may have missed it, but you saw me so many times. You're thinking of me when it comes time. Now, let's say we never talked. On a day of expiration, when I show up with that packet, if you did answer that door, you know what you're going to say to me? Oh, I get your mailings. Oh, you do? Oh, that's excellent. They know who you are. It takes all the coldness completely out of it, and that's what you want. You want to make it personal. So final story, as I was telling you, last night was back to school night. And I know this is crazy. It's crazy for me. My kid started high school this year, which I think is ridiculous because I feel like I'm in high school still sometimes. I don't know if that means I'm immature or if, you know, the body and the head think differently. I don't know. But so we're going through back to school night, and you know, you're going through all the hallways, me and my wife, and there's all the people, and you know a bunch of them. I grew up in that town, so I know the teachers, I know a bunch of them, which for my wife is absolutely miserable. You know, she's like, okay, you know, because I'm talking to somebody. I mean, that's my business. You know, she's like, you're the mayor. I said, maybe someday. I don't know. We'll see. But the coolest thing was last night, all these people coming up to me. Oh, my gosh, you guys are killing it. Every block I turn down, I see your sign. Oh, Ron, I got your mailing. I can't believe you guys got that house under contract already. Blah, 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 on and on and on. Let me tell you something. When I left, my grin started here and ended here. I was ecstatic because I knew it was working, whatever it was that we were doing. So that's my spiel on expireds.